Alright, new IMAC game, new Liminality entry. This time the episode is The Case of Yuki Aihara, and we get a new opening sequence. And I have to admit, I am an absolute sucker for 1000 Nights, One Night, though some translations label the song as 1000 Nights, One Night, but that is neither here nor there. If you've followed my show for long enough, you might recognize the song, as I absolutely love using it for when I am doing long monologues about lore primers for series. Though what I do need to comment on for this Liminality video is where it fits in continuity. While this does take place after Mutation, it also crosses into the period covered in Outbreak, though close to its beginning, as Kite and crew challenge one of the Epitaph bosses, and in doing so set off this incident. Though some believe it to be more caused by the Megas incident than the other ones, but since the news primer about it comes later, yeah, there's some understandable debate on where it actually falls. We open in Yokohama with our title character Yuki Aihara leaving her family's flower shop, as her older brother tries to get information out of where she's going and when she'll be back, but she is indignant and not talking. Apparently she feels left out as her parents are giddy her sister-in-law is expecting, and ultimately as the younger sister in this feels neglected because of it. So add another tally to the poor parenting count. Ridiculously commonplace, really. See, remember last OVA when Jun was rating Katsumi's character and game data for clues? Yeah, Yuki plays the character Yuki Chin, one of Katsumi's regular companions, who could give more details to Jun about their online activities, so you could try to build a profile of what's causing the attacks, as they are not in the know about all of the phases of the cursed wave. However, Jun is stuck in traffic while dropping Mai at the Tokyo Library for her to do her own research, and will be delayed for a couple hours. So, since she is there, Yuki decides to see a movie. If you're wondering about her glasses, Yuki is nearsighted and doesn't like to wear them all the time, so the OVAs constantly shift between her wearing them and not. Though similar to Mai and her ears, outside of vanity, Yuki doesn't like to use them as she in turn has sensitive eyes. Know the feeling. I can't go outside during the day without sunglasses. UV rays hurt. Interspace with this, we have a quick scene of Jun in traffic and Mai browsing web pages for... Hang on, hold it. Oh, come on! We've already bought the product. You don't need to viral market your web pages. Unless it's one of those that gives up the hidden item areas I've been noting previously. Spoilers it is! Anyways, Mai is interrupted by hearing .hack's infamous note, A and C major, and elsewhere things start to go wrong. At the mall, its computer systems begin to go haywire, with the movie blinking out for an advertisement for the world before power fails. Mai calls Jun about hearing the sound, and he isn't so much worried about her hearing it, as much as what might be causing it. He's certain that if the cause is originating from the world, then it may have come from its source data, fragments, which leads us to getting this line.
And CC Corp put it out in the market never knowing that it was in it. If they had known, I'm sure even they wouldn't have sold something that potentially dangerous to an unknowing public.
Yeah, current society has a whole list of products available on the market that are inherently or potentially dangerous. Cigarettes, guns, melee weapons, high sugar/caffeine energy drinks that I actually use as sleep aids because caffeine puts me to sleep, Apple products. Even if they knew, we've seen that CC Corp executives mainly care about making money and keeping their monopoly. To hell with saving people affected by their products. So for Jun to say that makes for a pretty stupid line. Anyways, the mall isn't the only place to get hit by the blackout. The entirety of Yokohama goes dark. And as Jun just crossed into an area whose cell tower has lost power, he loses his coverage. Man, roaming connections in the future year of 2010 is terrible. Wait a second. This disc was packaged with Mutation. In Mutation, you can hunt down an item called BL Yokohama. A blackout is the main plot of the episode!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yes, I have already pointed out that different production teams worked on different sections of the franchise to get it out faster, and this OVA's events occur during Outbreak. But still, it's odd foreshadowing, and I really do think it's the work of Kazunori Ito trying to correctly tie everything together on this that made it work so well. With Yuki, as you would expect with any evacuation carried out expediently in the dark, has the people around her panicking, Yuki getting knocked over and her glasses falling to the ground.
My glasses! I can't see without my glasses!
My glasses. I can't be seen without my glasses.
Fortunately, they don't get smashed, but it does delay Yuki enough that she ends up locking gazes with an older woman. This is Kaoru Asaba, and she works in the mall, believing she knows a better way out. Kaoru is subject to a long-running fan theory revolving around her. See, Kaoru is voiced by Yumi Toma in Japanese, and Mary Elizabeth McGlynn in English, and they both portray Helba in their respective dubs. Helba was absent from the world during the time period this incident occurs in, and Kaoru shares several of her quirks, such as her stalker's tendencies, her bucking of trends, and keeping secrets until they are needed. However, no evidence was produced in any of the side stories or apocryphal material to support this theory. Hell, we only even have her name because of those lore books and her name first being given to the Western audience due to her .hack enemy trading card, as that's not what she is credited as in the credits of the Liminality episode. But it would be funny if it was true. Speaking of side story content, apparently Black Rose's father was likewise caught up in the Yokohama Incident, though the exact details to that are found in the Another Birth novels, as they aren't stated in the IMOC games at any point. Regardless, Yuki has no choice but to go with Kaoru, as for some stupid reason, the facility has locked down the building with security doors before everyone can evacuate. My god, the person who designed that was a moron, considering power loss during a fire is really common and doing that during one would sentence people to death. As it turns out, Kaoru's quicker way out is another emergency door, but it won't open. Apparently the door is designed to lock down in the event of a power failure. Which is a really, really stupid design flaw. It's an emergency exit door. It's supposed to be operable in the event of an emergency, which should cover blackouts. Hell, emergency doors like this are designed to be closed systems. The network problems should have no effect on them, as they should not be part of a grander system. Aside from a single wire tied into the building's security system to alert security to their unauthorized use, but you get my point. And with the security gates down, they're essentially trapped inside. However, Kaoru has another escape plan. They're going to crawl through the ventilation duct. Yeah, that's not really a viable plan. In the meantime, Jun has been trapped in traffic, hoofing his way to an access ramp and off the bridge he was stuck on, finding a payphone, only to find it is dead as well. A nice showcase to remind us of the scale of the threat Morgana's rapidity is. The bigger problem is the phone Jun tries to use is actually electronic, when mechanical payphones are like that for a reason. Usually payphones and such are entirely mechanical, thus landline networks still work in blackouts due to being part of a different system, or electronic communication that doesn't stop working unless their connection line is severed. With electronic payphones, you would need a power supply to even turn on the damn things, as anyone with a cordless phone in a blackout should know. Back to the girls, the pair smell something familiar and follow it to a kitchen in the food court section of the building, and finding several of the burners still turned on. And this is why I tend to prefer electric burners to gas ones, most of the time. This is worrying though, as if more burners are on elsewhere in the building, they could start a fire quite easily. And since the facility uses a redundant automated fire suppression system that uses carbon dioxide instead of pressurized water lines, if they're stuck in an area where the system triggers, they will be screwed. It's almost as if this place is designed to kill them. Which is another problem I have to bring up. Do malls actually use CO2 extinguisher systems in Japan? I would think that would be an exceedingly stupid thing to install for just an event like this, as people could and would be trapped inside during a fire. Triggering them would kill them just as fast as the fire, whereas with water-based ones, there's a chance of survival if you can quash the flames. Yeah, property can get damaged due to the water, but the companies would have already filled out insurance forms against fire damage and product losses, so I think those forms would cover damages caused from trying to extinguish the flames as well, on top of potentially saving some property. What, was the system designed to exterminate intruders with extreme prejudice? And if you think I'm being facetious with overanalyzing this, the CO2 system fires up not long after the two open an elevator shaft and prepare to climb down the elevator cables. Though I would have tried to get over to the maintenance ladder on the side of the elevator shaft. I mean, Kaoru's seen grabbing said cable in a scene. I would have thought grappling over to a fixed ladder would have been easier than tearing up shirt sleeves so as to MacGyver gloves so as to not rip up their hands on the twisted wire cable. I'll get back to them. I actually skipped some my scenes on my rant on design stupidity. Mai eventually finds information on Fragment, specifically a newspaper clipping about Harold, which makes mention of the epitaph of Twilight. However, she gets a message from Kasumi's other player partner, Kyo, actually a woman named Kyoko Tono. And with what I know about Kasumi from later in the franchise, I am not at all surprised his common online partners are a pair of women. Kyoko's contacted Mai as she hasn't heard from Yuki, and considering it's once more a teenager meeting with an old man one-on-one in a country where rape is commonly featured in their porn, she's naturally worried. Actually, she's worried because of the blackout that hit Yokohama, but that subject can be read into considering crime rates spike during blackouts. Also, why is the antenna of Mai's phone sticking out of her hair? I know she has to put the phone up to her ear to listen, but I've seen people with that kind of haircut hold a phone up to an ear without putting it in their hair. She tries Jun and Yuki on her own phone, but likewise fails to get through the blackout, calling Kyoko to inform her of such. Apparently either the impact hitting the elevator or the CO2 gases affected Kaoru and Yuki more severely than we were shown, as when we next cut back to them, they're unconscious on top of the elevator, and Kaoru sprained her ankle in the fall, with Yuki's glasses likewise having fallen out of her bag. Kaoru notes how thick they are, commenting on how easier contacts would be for her. They use the frying pan they dropped down the shaft earlier to pry open the elevator doors once more and climb out, finding the entrance to the mall ransacked. Okay, maybe those security doors were closed for a reason, but I would have thought someone in the security department would have checked over the building quickly in such an emergency. Hell, I could never wait out a fire drill with some earplugs when I lived in college dorms, as TAs would raid the rooms if someone wasn't accounted for. The other way is find all the chaos is long gone and the area deserted, almost as if it were something out of a bad apocalypse film. And naturally, dialogue on such a subject is supplied for us.
Guess this is the end of the world.
No, this is.
What could have caused so much chaos?
Second coming of Pluto's kiss. Because when computers abandon us, then all hell breaks loose.
I do wonder why cars were abandoned like that. It's not like there was a traffic jam and people need to evacuate. Even with the traffic system out, it should have been easy enough to park your vehicle and return for it when power was restored. Anyways, Kaoru let slip that the reason she tried to help out Yuki was because they had in fact met before, at her brother's wedding. She's apparently a friend of Yuki's sister-in-law. That and Yuki reminds Kaoru of herself when she was at that age, and didn't necessarily think that was a good thing. Though from the talk, Yuki decides to finally wear her glasses full-time, not wanting the lack of sight to be seen as a weakness, as clearly she has missed some things she shouldn't have. We then cut to a few hours later, where Jun finally arrives at the mall in the dead of night.
You're over 6 hours late.
As Yuki had the Flash of the World ad on her mind, she asks Jun if this event related to the investigation, which Jun is non-committal towards, but regardless, Yuki agrees to help how she can. The power finally returns, Jun and Yuki immediately getting calls from Mai and Kyoko respectively, with, cell service not really working like that. Mai informs Jun of what she's found, which piques Yuki's interest, as Kyoko is actually a buff on the epitaph of Twilight and had heard the phrase often, with the episode ending with Kyoko, a serious look on her face, bearing the intention of needing the group to gather with her. This OVA is really kind of lame. To be fair, the first one was 45 minutes in length, while this one was 27, so I can't exactly complain about less story in the episode, as it does touch on the main members of the cast. However, within minutes of watching each scene, what would normally be fridge logic would set in and I would question elements of the plot. It's like they included a bunch of stuff just to force the story to move as the writers wanted. If there isn't a natural and rational progression of events in your narrative, you need to rewrite the narrative. Trapped in a building was not a bad idea for Yuki's story, especially considering the stories out there of people turned into rats in a maze. However, it could have been done better, as the reason they can't escape being due to technological advancement. Yeah, we have redundant systems that allow for manual releases for a reason, which should not have caused them to be trapped as they were. Yuki is nowhere near as developed as Mai was, a limitation due to time in the episode, but it did get a bit on her. She's a person who is reflective of events around her, though in opposition to Mai, she lives more in the moment. With her being a bit vain, considering her general refusal to wear glasses, but she doesn't look bad in them. And she has a bit of a grudge with her family that, sadly, is not really expanded upon or given much context towards. Kaoru herself is a mysterious woman, though she seems to be current with technological trends and whatnot with her working in that mall. Hell, from deductive reasoning, she managed to figure out how the world ad that flickered on the screen was caused. The movie Yuki was viewing being streamed from a database run by CC Corp. You know, streaming wasn't exactly possible 15 years ago. I'm actually surprised that this is one of the things the Dot Hack franchise predicted, as Netflix and the like sort of came out of nowhere. Were theaters using this tech with digital copies of movies back then? Well, we do find a few things out about her. They're not really that important, and she's mainly there to incite the conflict of the story, which just pads it out. I got nothing new on Mai or June in this one, sadly, and even less on Kyoko, but Kyoko Tono will be a larger member of the story when we tackle the following Liminality episode, after we get through Dot Hack Outbreak. See you there.